Hello, I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. If you're in favor of immigration control, someone is eventually going to tell you that unless you're an Indian, you don't have the right to keep anyone out of the country. The idea is that there were Indians here when Columbus showed up and white people stole their land. Turns out you're all illegal, is one way of putting it, with the implication that since we're all illegal anyway, today's illegals have just as much right to America as the descendants of the Mayflower. Therefore, we should let them in. As we'll see, this is an astonishingly bad argument, but you hear it all the time. In 2015, none other than Barack Obama said in response to what he called anti-immigration sentiment, unless you are Native American, your family came from someplace else. Again, this means let them in. Senator Kamala Harris, who might just be the Democratic presidential candidate, tweeted the same thing this year. Unless you're Native American or your ancestors were kidnapped and brought over on slave ships, everyone in this country has an immigrant background. We are a nation of immigrants. And here's Bernie Sanders from last year. Unless you are a Native American, your family also came from some other part of the world over the last 400 years. Yes, we are a nation of immigrants, and we should be proud of that. Our diversity is one of our greatest strengths. And here's my favorite. Therese Okumu from the Congo, of all places, who was arrested for climbing onto the Statue of Liberty this year to protest immigration policy. She showed up in court wearing clothes that said, "No human is illegal on stolen land. Since white people stole the place anyway, everyone has the right to come." Well, all this jabber about Indians implies that if you're not an Indian, you should have no say in immigration policy. But it's always non-Indians who bring up the Indians to argue that we should let in more immigrants, not less. But why should we listen to those non-Indians? Aren't they living on Indian land too? Where'd they get the right to give away Indian land to even more strangers? Did they ever ask the Indians what they think? No. All they say is that if you're not an Indian and you want less immigration, your opinion doesn't count. But if you're not an Indian and you want more immigration, your opinion does count. Indians are trotted out only in support of more immigration. Well, logically, anyone who says, if you're not an Indian, shut up, is saying that only Indians should set immigration policy. But what if they don't want more immigration? And if America is stolen land, shouldn't Indians be making all the decisions? Abortion, tax rates, foreign policy? Shouldn't the rightful owners of the stolen land run the place? Well, not even the looniest open borders types want to be ruled by Indians. It's obvious they don't care about Indians. All this Native American jabber is nothing more than a way to try to shut up people who want secure borders. In fact, the story of the Indians is one of the strongest possible arguments for very tight borders. Immigration, or more accurately, the arrival of European pioneers, was a disaster for the Indians. We took their land, destroyed their way of life, and put them on reservations. Bernie Sanders says immigration is wonderful and diversity is our strength. Well, if diversity is so great, it must be Christmas year-round for the Indians. No, the diversity that the newcomers brought destroyed the Indians. What happened to them shows why you need border controls. It shows exactly what happens when you don't have it. And don't forget, the Indians fought us as hard as they could to keep their land and their way of life. And no one says they shouldn't have. They had the right. Of course, in many cases, they were fighting to keep land that they had stolen from other Indians. When the Lakota Sioux fought George Custer and the U.S. Cavalry, every square inch of their territory had been taken from other tribes. But nobody says the Sioux had no right to fight. No, it's only when white people end up on top that suddenly we don't have any rights. By today's standards for white people, if Indians thought their way of life might change because of strangers showing up, they were vicious xenophobes, conspiracy theorists, and maybe even racists. So don't let this phony argument fool you. The people who claim that Indians are the only folks who have the right to talk about immigration are the very ones who want to let in millions more non-Indians. If the land belongs to Indians, what right do they have to give it away to people from Haiti or Congo or China? Did they ever ask the Indians? This is hypocritical bunk. It's a way to try to trick white people into thinking they have no right to keep the land their ancestors explored, settled, and developed into a great nation. We have the right to what we have created. We have the power to keep it. All we need is the will. Don't be fooled by people who tell you that foreigners from anywhere in the world have more rights to this country than you do. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please visit our website at amren.com.